Hello everyone. I'm Jamia, the Climate Resilience Fellow for this year's fellowship, and I go to Cristo Rey del Sal, and basically, I'm going to be presenting about how I learned about ways people are affected due to climate issues and environmental issues, but also how to come up with solutions and how I tie that into other events and things that I learned. So, starting off with what is a resilience hub? But before that, defining climate resilience, it's how we adjust our lives against climate change and power forward and bounce back from any natural or climate disasters and how we prepare for events in general. So, for what is a resilience hub is a community space where people can go to in times of needs due to climate or natural disasters, like I said. Some resources included can be like community gardens, tutoring services, technology services, cooling spaces when it's hot outside, or vice versa, and free internet access and charging stations. These resources are important, especially because, for example, garden green spaces for people who don't have access to healthy food, or, for example, air conditioner because not everyone can afford those things or everyday necessities. And then here on the right, we have some pictures of resilience hubs. So on the left, we have the Lions Pride Technology Center, and on the right, we have the Rise Youth Center, which is located in Richmond, California. And it's for youth of all ages, and they have different programs that they offer. Now, for some history of East Oakland, I've lived here most of my life, and so I decided to focus it on this part, especially specifically of East Oakland. Getting into a bit of the history, I was talking about redlining, which is a discriminatory practice that consists of the systemic denial of services based on people's race or ethnicity, that puts services, usually financial services, out of reach for residents of certain areas based on race or ethnicity. And actually, Oakland is today one of the most racially and ethnically diverse cities in the country. And yeah, and it went through redlining the process throughout the 1930s, but some effects are still being seen today and repeated again. And certain areas or neighborhoods were restricted to Black residents as they were only able to receive home loans for specific regions. And then here on the right, we have some pictures of East Oakland, and then the redlining map, which shows the different areas that were separated and like the colors that go with like the areas, and somehow are near polluters, more near polluters. And so yeah, areas that were historically redlined frequently lack green spaces, which then they tend to experience more increased pollution levels and are overall more vulnerable to extreme weather events and are intensified by climate change. And as well as that people of color were denied loans to buy homes in neighborhoods, which relating back to the map, label them as like declining or more hazardous. And here are some pictures of Oakland. It's important to understand that environmental justice and redlining are also tied in and do a lot and can affect the people in various ways. That's why it's important to have resilience within the people as well. So for some history of the 81st Avenue Public Library, my I had never heard of it before. I got introduced to it. And actually, how I knew about the library was from attending an event at the library itself with Andrea, Michaela, Mindy, and Ash, and Sonia. Um, and so a bit of a history about it was that the 81st Avenue Public Library branch was completed in 2011, but the thought originated in 2003. And the library was initially an investment in the East Oakland community, with its efforts to address two concerns. The first one being meeting the needs of the community in regards to information access, and then the second one was to provide both the Encompass Academy and Acorn Woodland elementary schools with a library as well. And the library currently sits on USD land, so it's specifically built to be a library. And then here on the right, we have some pictures of like how it's decorated and then like views on from the inside. And they have like a lot of programs that they offer. For example, like they do repairing like bikes, and then like depending on the month, they represent that. So for example, Black History Month, and then Women's History Month, and for API as well. But yeah, they offer a lot of resources and tools. So some current features of the library, the reason I wanted to propose a plan to make it into Resilience Hub was because I felt that it already had a lot of things to offer for the community, but it could be turned more. And so some current features that the library has is 60 computer stations with access to internet, a collection of over 30,000 books, CDs, and DVDs, along with like catalogs and multimedia tools. And they also offer children and teen areas, like and teen zones and an internet cafe, along with like multimedia classrooms that you can use for multi-purposes and community meeting rooms as well. So these pictures are all from like the inside as well. So it's really cool seeing what they offer. And yeah, so basically for my proposal was to create a mini structure of the Resilience Hub of the library, turn into Resilience Hub, so which was me like implementing new things into it. So this was the sketch of the Resilience Hub. So I wanted to keep a lot of what I already had because I didn't want to completely redesign it, but rather just implement new things into it. So I knew that I wanted to put in like computer labs and making sure that I had like running water available for people who needed it, free Wi-Fi, like services, and making sure that it was accessible to all, but also making sure that it was energy efficient building and it was run on like renewable energy. So on the top of like the drawing, you can see the solar panels for like more resilient power systems, and as well as making sure it had like air conditioning and heaters. And then where it says recycling, I wanted to make sure that there was like compost bins and like recycling bins and like trash cans, and make it more of like a community center space so it could bring a sense of belonging as well. And making sure that I had more greenery implemented into it, so like the garden space. So it was really a process in visioning what I wanted to rebuild the library as or add new features in it. As I knew that I didn't want to take away precisely like from the land and like the rich culture, but I wanted to implement new resources and features and make it overall more sustainable. And actually, the first time that I went to the 81st Public Library, it was for a CBE event at the library, in which it was a visioning session for redesigning the Coliseum, in which I went with Minji, Andrea, Michaela, and Sonia. And I had the opportunity to get a feel of what it was like inside and all that they offered, and the programs they offered, and the people in the community space. And it was something really cool and new because I previously didn't know about the library, even though I've lived in Oakland for most of my life. And the process of me creating the Lego module was pretty fun, and I really enjoyed every single step of it. There was a bit of trial and error, but I think that's just what happens in each building or design. Now, the library itself, I wouldn't really consider it a resilience hub because a resilience hub is more of a community space where people can go to, like after natural or climate disasters, or just to seek safety and security. And I wanted to add new resources, including like the garden that I added, and overall like technology services, which I ended up adding later, and like free internet access for everybody and make it accessible for everybody, um, and have like free technology services and cooling spaces and heating spaces overall, because I think that they really do give a lot to the people, and especially that they may not have those things at home or may not have the funds for. And so yeah, I wanted to make it more with clean energy, so I added the solar panels at the top here, as you can see. And then I also added recycling bins as well, and the garden, the where everybody can go to, and there's more greenery. And then also for free transportation are the bicycles, so they don't emit any toxic pollutants into the air, and it has like a little pathway as well. And while working on it, I definitely kept in mind the two workshops that we worked on for Oakland and Contra Costa, in which we introduced what climate resilience meant, and we led youth workshops and basically just informed the people about things that they can do to be resilient against any disasters, and providing new information. And here's the final product of my build. So here, like the different faculty, like the rooms and such things like that, and then like the greenery and like the different rooms. Um, so here are some other angles of the building and like the overall final product. And in conclusion, it was a lovely experience learning about climate resilience through infrastructure and turning the library into a more energy efficient building. And here are like some key takeaways that I took. So like giving power to the people and overall building trust and reliance within the people. Thank you.